Recently, I took 4 personality tests to decide which one is the best one for personal leadership development. That's what I do on this channel, is I just to share my experiences about trying to become a better leader. I'm not a CEO, I'm not a guru. I just want to become better at leading people because it's so incredibly important in the world and in my own job. And I'm gonna go over one of those personality tests today and show you what is on the test, what you get in the personal report, how much it costs, and then my take on how effective it is at providing useful information for your own personal leadership development. Okay, so the assessment that I took is called Connect Assessment. Many of you may know it as Lion, Otter, Golden Retriever, Beaver. Interestingly, I took this assessment, I think in the fall of 1990 during freshman orientation. Actually, I was a sophomore, so it was like for transfers, but it was like 1,000 students, maybe 500 in this large auditorium. And one of the original co-founders of this assessment, of Connect Assessment, was there giving this presentation. And so they handed out little tiny pieces of paper, little pieces of paper, and each person in the audience took the assessment, scored themselves, and then figured out whether they were a lion, otter, golden retriever, or beaver. And I was a golden retriever, and I remember vividly, this man's name was Gary Smalley. He was a wonderful person. He's dead now, unfortunately. But he said, okay, I want all of the lions to raise their hand, all of the otters to raise their hand, all of the beavers to raise their hand. And then when he got to golden retriever, he said, now I want all of the golden retrievers to stand up. And he said, these are the nicest, kindest, sweetest people you will ever meet. They're wonderful friends, wonderful partners, and we need to be nice to them because they're very sensitive. Over 30 years later, I'm still a golden retriever. I don't know how much the test has changed because I don't remember what was on the thing that they handed out to us 30 years ago, but it is interesting that I'm still a golden retriever. To take the test, it is linked below. I must warn you that it is a little bit archaic. You click on a thing and then you've got redirected to someplace else, and then you have to sign up for something, and then you get another link, and then it takes you to the assessment. It's not quite that bad, but it's not as easy as like Truity.com, which doesn't have this assessment. They have a bunch of other ones, but on Truity.com you can just go on and immediately start taking the assessment, and then it scores it and says, hey, by the way, if you want the report, click on this link and buy it for $20 or whatever. With Connect Assessment, you have to, you take the test, then you say that you want to buy it, and then that kind of redirects you, and then I think you purchase it and they send you a link to the PDF that you have to get off some other website. It's a little bit convoluted. Connect Assessment, if you're watching this, I think you guys need to figure that out, because I do think that your test is worthwhile, and I think that a lot of people, and especially teams, could really benefit from it. All right, so when you take the assessment, it's a series. There's the one that I took, it's 24 sets of statements. So there's 4 statements in each of those 24, and you have to rank the statements by which one you most identify with and the one that you least identify with. It took me like 4 or 5 minutes. It's very quick, like many of these personality assessments. Then you get the results. You'll see when you get the information from for the report, you'll see that it says Strong Marriages LLC or something like that. Don't be put off by that, because the report it's not just geared for marriage. In fact, it really doesn't talk about marriage at all. It just talks about relationships. When Gary Smalley and his partner started their organization, I think they were really focused on family and especially marriage counseling. And so I think that is just a carryover from the past. But this is a legitimate personality test system that I think teams could really benefit from. So don't be put off by the strong marriages. In fact, if you are married, you'll know that if you can really do that relationship well, you can probably also do work relationships well, because it can be one of the most challenging relationships in your life to really get right. Okay, so what do you get in the report? I think it's important to read little snippets from the report. So I just want to read this first one here. Our objective is to help you better connect by gaining more insight about yourself and others. We believe if you will objectively consider what you discover in this report, the result can possibly lead to more enhanced relationships with people whom you interact with the most. I think in these assessments, it's important to see what the assessment says about itself, what the purpose of what the report is. And in this case, I think that's really spot on. I think that it does deliver on those. All right, so the first section here is how to interpret the graph of animals. I was 92% Beaver and 92% Golden Retriever, although it did categorize me as a Golden Retriever. And then I don't remember now off the top of my head, but I was like below on Otter and Lion. So basically there's a baseline of 0, let's say. 92% means that according to their statistics, I identify in my responses 92% with Beaver and 92% with Golden Retriever. And then when your percentage is below 0, so mine was like 20 for Lion and 30 for Otter, that means that you identify a lot less with those. Then there's a snapshot of you, which is kind of just a basic overview of what it means to be a lion that's strong in Beaver. And then the really important section in the report is called Your Natural Tendencies, and it has a whole bunch of subheadings like a lot of these personality assessment reports have, but I just want to read these off really quick. I found all of these to be very useful. Your strengths: decision making, connecting with others, disconnecting with others, when communicating, when resolving conflicts, when under stress, how to better connect with others. And then at the end there is a summary, which again I found to be very useful. One thing I really appreciate about Connect Assessment is that it's honest about the fact that it's not going to give you a 100% accurate snapshot of you. In fact, it says there in the summary at the end, it says that any of these assessments can never really be better than like 80 to 90% accurate to depict, and interpret exactly your core tendencies. But it does say, and I think this is really good advice, if there's something in the assessment that you don't agree with in the personal report, that could be useful information, but it encourages you to send the report to people that do know you and ask for their feedback or their opinions on how well this characterizes you. And I think when you're taking one of these assessments, you're going in obviously with an open mind, but we are humans, and when an assessment says, you tend to be bossy and domineering and off-putting in some situations, right? Your natural tendency is to say, oh, that's not me, I'm super nice at work. When in fact, it might be true, and that's the way other people perceive you, even though you don't know it. And so if you just brush that off and just say, that's not me, that's a really lost possibility for learning and self-discovery, because in most cases, folks that are high-functioning leaders, they also are very self-aware. And so anyway, whenever you take any of these assessments, it's important to be critical, right? They're not always going to get it all accurate, but you don't want to just dismiss things that you don't believe are true without sort of verifying it with somebody that knows you. Hey, if you're finding something useful in this video, please hit the like button right now. That will send this video out to more people who might be considering taking a personality assessment test to discover things about themselves so that they can become a better leader. Okay, so let's wrap it up here. The things that I really like and that I don't like about Connect Assessment. So the reason why I went into this in the first place is that I wanted to enhance my own leadership development. So one of the things that I don't like about Connect Assessment is it's hyper-focused on interpersonal relationships and understanding your core tendencies so that you know how to interact with the 3 other types in different situations. So in that sense, it's just too focused on that aspect of work or relationships and doesn't give you I don't feel like enough on your core fears and motivations and things like that. There's other assessments that are better. Go check out my video, which is linked below, where I review all 4 and show you which one I think is the most effective for your own personal leadership development. One thing I do like about the Connect Assessment personal report is that it offers immediate actionable things that you can do today to interact with and communicate better with other people. One thing that I don't like about Connect Assessment, and this was also true in the DISC for the workplace assessment that I took, is that you tend to feel typecast. When there's only 4 types, the assessment obviously is not very granular. It's not very detailed about you. It's going to sort of pigeonhole you into this one type, which in my case is Golden Retriever. And as you're reading the report, it actually will say things like, you naturally tend to take a back seat and let other people lead the organization and things like that. And so in that case, you could get, I think, a wrong message from that. I think everybody can become an effective leader. In fact, I think people that don't want to be leaders might actually in some cases be more effective because they're more empathetic, they're more self-aware, they're more aware of their own shortcomings. And so anybody can become an effective leader, whether you're labeled a golden retriever or a lion. We can all work on becoming better leaders. So the flip side of this is that I do like its simplicity. Some of the other tests that I took offer up to like 16 different types. They have lots of different variables for each type, and it's kind of hard to like wrap your head around what this is actually saying. Whereas here, its simplicity offers, I think, some immediate access for either for your own personal development or especially for group work, right? So it's easy to say, okay, that person is a lion, so I know now as a beaver that when I'm interacting with them, I need to provide a little bit more information on these sorts of things, or I need to scale it back or whatever. So in the end, I don't like Connect assessment for leadership development for everything that I've just stated before. I don't think it goes deep enough into your own psyche and your own motivations and fears and that sort of thing. There are other tests that are better. Go check out my video. And I do like this Connect assessment for team building. In fact, I think I'm going to use this with my team when I move from, so what I've been doing right now is my own personal leadership development. And when I move into the next stage, which is developing my team, I think that this might be the tool that I use. All right, that is a quick review of Connect assessment. I hope you found something useful. Again, hit the like button, and I will see you guys in the next one.